Hello everyone, this is Hussein, also known as Adventure 494. I'm actually a student pilot at a local flying club in Subang Airport. Finally, we have received the latest Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and I've been waiting this for quite a while. And I've been an avid aviator since the 80s. I've been using Microsoft Flight Simulator since version 4, and what I see now we get from MSFS 2020 is absolutely amazing. What you see and what you get, the aeroplanes, the environment, especially when you are a VFR pilot, you will really appreciate the scenery. So in my first video I did a short flight from KLIA, Kuala Lumpur International Airport, to Subang. Incidentally, Subang Airport was the main airport back in the 80s and 90s, and then they shifted to Kuala Lumpur International Airport late 95s. So today we are going to do a short flight, a city tour of KL or Kuala Lumpur, and in a Cessna. So I'm an avid fan of steam gauge. So we're gonna fly from Subang Airport, where I am based, on a Cessna, and we'll take a city tour. And while we are en route, I'm probably gonna point out some interesting landmarks in Kuala Lumpur. So if you are Malaysian, you probably know all this stuff. If you're not, if you are coming down to Malaysia, even from overseas, at least you know where the landmarks are in Malaysia. So let's start. Let's go to, this is the interface of the MSFS 2020. If you have one, you probably know that we have a lot of options here, but we're going to just jump in straight into the flight. So I'm going to click on world map, and we're going to go down to, we'll just have to type in the airport here. That's our aircraft. So we're going to use a Cessna 152 today. So I'm going to type in the airport. I think I already have one. It's not remember, so it's okay. So it's Victor Mike Sierra Alpha. Yeah, so you got Sultan Abdul Aziz Shah Subang Airport, Kuala Lumpur. Let's choose that, and we are going to depart from runway 15. I think it's a standard runway now. Whenever I fly off from Subang Airport as a real pilot, it always it's required us to fly from runway 15 anyway. Okay, it's a 12,000 feet airport. Runway, which is quite long. And zoomed in there, you can see that that's the runway there. Okay, there you go. Right, so we have runway 15, and what we're going to do today is we're going to fly off to the city about this area. So we have the Telekom Tower and Mid Valley Mega Mall, and then we have the Petronas Twin Towers. So we're going to fly in between here. We're going to make a bank or a turn left and come back to Subang Airport and land at runway 15. The choice of aircraft, this is the premium deluxe version of MSFS 2020. So I've got all 30 aircrafts there, but obviously my favorite is always the 172 or the 152. We can use either one of these. Probably today I'm going to take off on the Cessna 152. I promise in the future we're going to change to other aircrafts. We have two versions of this 152s. One is the aerobat version, and one is the normal version. I'm going to stick to the normal version for now. I'm not going to do any aerobatic, so we don't need that. So flight conditions we can change. I know I'm recording this at night, so I'm not going to choose any players, nor any live traffic, but let's have an AI traffic just in case. It'll be fun. And I'm going to choose a preset. I'm not going to go live weather because it's at night at the moment, so I want to do it in the day so you guys can see clearly the landmarks. So I'm going to choose clear skies, but I'm going to change the weather inside here to something like we take off at about maybe at 8:30 in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning, somewhere around there. It will not update now, but later when I get into the aircraft I can change it. Okay, so I'm gonna press close and let's hit fly. Do we want to fly off from runway 15? No, I want to fly off from actually one of the ramp here. So I'm going to select that as it set as departure. I'm not going to select any arrival airport because we're going to come back to Subang. So we are actually at the fuel box parking. I don't want to go to fuel box parking because I just want to like to take off from maybe ramp 20 over here. So that's departure. Okay, so we're going to take off from parking. It's going to be cold and dark, so we have to do all the startups and everything. So it's going to be like a real flight with real time and all that. So it's not going to be like one of those you just jump into it and just start pushing the throttle and take off. No, we're going to start from the beginning. So runway 15 is our choice. Sorry, I have to choose this first. Okay, and let's hit fly. It might take a few minutes to load up. It depends on your machine that you have. But while the machine is loading up, maybe I can talk to you about my experience in MSFS. So back then in the 80s, I started using Microsoft Flight Simulator, and you know back then computers were slow. Even the graphics was very very low, pixelated. So I used version 5, version 6 and FSX, and I gave up for a while because I don't think there was any enhancement or way forward in the flight simulations on PCs until I saw MSFS 2020, which really blew me away. And I was running a beta testing it for about 3 weeks, and I was really amazed by the scenery that we have. Especially when you are a VFR pilot, you will really appreciate the sceneries that they have. You know, basically you can go anywhere in the world, any airports anywhere in the world. Unfortunately, in Malaysia, they missed out the Malacca Airport, which is quite important for a pilot or a student pilot, because we use Malacca Airport as one of the airports that we go through for our solo flights. We go down south to Malacca and then we come back. So, but Malacca Airport's not in there, so maybe hopefully the third-party developers will make it in the future. But we do have Simpang Airport, which actually by right is not in use anymore, but in this sim it is still available and you can still land on it. So that's a bit strange. Hopefully they can fix it in the future. So again, I'm a student pilot. I'm actually with a local flying club based in Subang Airport, and I fly the 172 Cessnas. And it's an interesting thing because I always wanted to become a pilot back in the days, and finally I got the chance to do it now. But during this COVID period, they're not allowing us to do training for now. But then again, we have MSF 2020 to start doing our training. So this is the Subang Airport. Unfortunately, it's not really exactly what it is at the moment. If you notice, there are a lot of high buildings around, which is not what Subang Airport is all about. So this is the 152, cruise speed of 107, but we're not going to fly that fast. We're going to probably cruise about 80 to 90 knots. And the time is 8 o'clock in the morning. We have got 2 knots of wind at 280 degrees. Altitude is 80 feet AMSL. So look at the stunning beauty of the textures on the aircraft, on the ground and all that. It's pretty amazing. So the machine that I have is not really a high-end machine. I think it's an i7 with 16 gig of RAM and a 1070 NVIDIA graphics card. I'm always amazed with the graphics, the textures they have. Okay, so I'm going to hit ready to fly and we will start this baby up. So here we are in the cockpit. I'm using my right mouse button to move around. You can see I'm just going to browse around in the cockpit. Okay, that's the VFR map. If I don't want it, I just click a V on my keyboard to disable that for now. We're not going to use any ATC for this one because it's just going to be a tour of the city. Maybe perhaps the next one I'm going to switch on the ATC and all that stuff. Okay, so this is the Cessna 152. And let's start it up. So I'm going to click on this yoke here to remove it for a while. So I'm going to start one by one. Okay, so firstly we're going to check that our fuel is on both. So down here we have the fuel lever or fuel shut off valve. Okay, it's either that is to close and then it's to open. So I'm going to open that up. Okay, and I'm going to put the mixture to rich. I'm trying to do this as what I was taught in the during my flight lessons here. So I'm going to put that mixture to rich, and we're going to make sure that the carb heat is cold, it's inside. Yeah, we're going to then we're going to just pump this 3 times and open the throttle, let the fuel go. I'm going to switch on my beacon. There's my beacon over there. Sorry, I'm going to switch on my strobe actually. Beacon will be a bit later. Well, I can switch on the beacon and the strobe at the same time. Well, not to worries. Friction throttle we can't adjust in this sim at the moment. Okay, hopefully the third-party developers will allow us to do the friction for the throttle. This allows us to tighten up the throttle so it is not accidentally pushed in upon takeoff, but on the ground we can loosen it up so you can move it quickly. And we can switch on the master. This is the master on for the batteries, and then we can say clear prop outside, and then we can just hit the ignition. Okay, I'm gonna just switch it on now. Okay, it's started. Excellent. So the RPM we're gonna go for is going to be set to 1000 RPM. Make sure our brakes are on, otherwise the aircraft will start moving. Okay, I'm gonna use my joystick here to bring down the down to 1000. Yeah, you can see on the right hand side here the RPM is over there. So bring up to 1000 RPM. The cool thing about this is you can see the aircraft they want to start moving, yeah, which is good because that looks as if it's real. So I'm going to bring down to 1000 RPM, and let's check the oil pressure. Make sure that oil pressure is all intact. So I'm going to zoom in down here. You can see oil pressure is almost green, which is good. All temperature, right? We got full quality. We got full tanks on half tanks on both wings. Our parking brake is on. We can now actually on the alternator. Make sure it's charging. Okay. So it's required for us to switch on the lights, nav lights and taxi light before we take off. But before we taxi. But we are not going to do that at the moment. So let's look at our radio. Radio is all switched on. Usually we switch on the radio after switching on the alternator, so we don't want to burn the circuit. So radios are all on, and the transponder is at 700. It's on standby. Let's put it on standby for now. Okay, and then before we take off, we're going to change it to altitude. So if you're flying VFR, you would have to put your squawk code at 7000 or 7000, and that's a requirement if you're flying VFR, so the ATC can take note of where you are. Okay, so we are going to take off from runway 15, which means we are going to taxi over. Let's have a look at the outside. We're going to taxi over to that way, and we're going to hold at taxiway Foxtrot before taking off. Right, so there's no ATC for this one. Maybe the next one I'm going to do the ATCs. There's a bus going over that side. This guy is supposed to help me push me back, but I don't need him for now. I'm just going to go to the right. Okay, but the airport is empty, so let's do this. We'll go back inside. Let the bus pass through first. Okay, I think we can start taxiing the aircraft. Let's put to idle, and then take off the brakes, and let's move on. So I'm using my joystick to steer us to the right, and we are moving on to the taxiway. I'm going to use this taxiway over here. Make sure that we don't taxi too fast. So we should check our QNH or the controls while we are actually taxiing. Since the airport is kind of long airport, I don't think so. I'm going to use flaps for this. But if it's a short airport, short runway, and if you have people, passengers with you, you might want to switch on the flaps, or enable the flaps. If you notice, the airport is not really accurate. If you notice, they have tall buildings on left and right. This is not the case in actual Subang Airport. It's not really accurately done, but it's okay. Even in the KL city, we have a lot of features there which is available and exist. Okay, right about here, before while we are taxiing, we should check our ailerons and rudder and all that kind of stuff, and we can also check our brakes. So I've just click on the brakes here, make sure the brakes are working, because we need that when we're landing. Set the altimeter to 1013. In this case, in Subang, is 1013.2. So I'm gonna make sure that we are sit on 1013.2, just here, QNH. Okay. I don't know why there's this taxi light right in the middle of the taxiway here. Alright, so we're gonna go and proceed to hold point Foxtrot in our case. Let's move forward a bit more, let's speed up a bit. There's this wash that happens when you are actually flying on a single engine aircraft, that your aircraft will want to swerve to the left. So that's because the blade is turning, the propeller is turning. So you always have to kick your right rudder to go straight. I think that's fast enough for now. Let's move on to front. I'm going to do an outside view so you can see how is it from outside. Okay, that's how it looks like from the outside. Kind of, I probably need to get an Xbox controller to have a look from outside and move it even smoothly. So that's holding point Foxtrot coming out front, so we have to turn to the left in a bit. And so this is the holding point from Foxtrot, although it's not labeled properly in the sim. Again, hopefully someone will come up with all the Malaysian airport in a nice package for us to buy. It's not maybe that this says it's a Fox. It's the clearly see that's the runway 3315, but it's actually holding point Alpha, which is not right. So I'm going to put on my parking brakes. Yep, and then we'll do some run-up checks here. So we have to check the magnetos. So we have two magnetos in this aircraft. We have to check the magnetos. So in order for us to check magnetos, we have to bring up the throttle up to about 1700 RPM. If you look at the right hand side, I'm actually adjusting the RPM on the over here. Yeah. So what we have to do is we have to do the magneto check here. Yeah. We will do one left back to B, so one left. We should drop a bit. Yeah, you can see it dropping a bit. And right both goes up again, and two left, which is the right magneto. It drops about 50 RPM, and then we go up again. So that's how you check the magnetos. And then we'll bring the throttle back down to idle. There's no suction on this particular aircraft. We have on the 172, but we don't have to check that. Throttle back to between 800 to 900 RPM. Okay, we'll set our trim back onto takeoff. Let's look at our trim. Set to takeoff. Very good. Flaps, we don't need flaps for this one. Mixture, we'll still put it onto reach. It's all the way in. Carb heat is cold. Radio set up to 118.2. We're not going to use the radio for today, but just check the frequency. 108.3 is not the same, but it's okay. We're not going to use ATC. So before we go into the runway, let's on the transponder to altitude, and let's switch on our nav light and the taxi and landing light on. Should have on the taxi light before we move just now, but it's okay. Okay, so we're going to take off at 55 knots, and we're going to hit to the left we'll again bang to the left after takeoff. So let me just bring up here Google Maps, so at least we know where we are going and look at some interesting so I'll bring Google Earth here. I mean, there are a lot of free websites that you can get to set up your flight plans and everything, but I like to use Google Earth to see exactly where we are going and all that. we're waiting for we'll pop in, so I'll show you some point of interest while we take off from Subang Airport. While we're waiting for that to load in, we can see on the right, so there's no traffic coming down. In this case there's not going to be any because I've switched off the real-time traffic. Excuse me one second, let me just have a look at Google Earth here. For those who are interested in flying, if you're going to become a pilot, if you are based in Malaysia, I suggest you to come to Subang. And if you need more information, please drop it in the comments below. I can probably guide you of how you can pick up your hobby as a pilot. It's just a hobby for me to become a pilot. I'm not going to do it for anything else. It's just that I like flying around, and I always wanted to do my PPL. So this is the map. So this is where we are. We are actually at Holding Way Foxtrot. We are right over there. So we're going to take off and turn bank to the left. We're going to go over Arah Damansara, flying through all this stuff. We're going to probably use this highway as a reference because we are running on VFR. So we're going to pass this main highway over here, and then we're going to go straight into the city where we have stuff like there's a Simpang Airport over there, so we're going to pass by Simpang Airport. There is where's our Simpang Airport, and then we're going to pass by there. We're going to go to Bukit Bintang. We have Menara KL there. Unfortunately, Menara KL is not in the SIM, so I'm not sure why. We do have the Telekom Towers though, which you will see later, and then we'll take over into KLCC. We'll look at the Twin Towers, and then we'll fly back, perhaps look at Taman Tasik Titi Wangsa, which is that one there, so it could be a landmark. We're going to come back to Subang. We join in the left pattern. Yeah, Subang is always the left pattern. We're going to come back to a circuit altitude of 1,000 feet. We're going to join the pattern and land at runway 15, hopefully. Okay, so let's do that. Alright, so let's say we have received clearance from the ATC, and then we are ready to fly. So just going to release my brakes. Okay, we're going to go into the runway. Let's do our bearing check. We should see a 1.5 on the compass, 1.5 on the direct DI or direction indicator. Unfortunately, we don't see the number 15 on the runway because we are halfway through the runway. So that's 15 on the DI and 15 on the compass. We are in the right direction, just to be sure. Let's hit full throttle and let's fly off. We're going to take off at 55 knots. Try and keep it to the center line. High speed alive. And here we go. Whoa. A bit there, I suppose. So we can have speed of let's clear the runway first before we start making any turning. So we are at 200 feet now. So I'm actually trimming at the same time as we go along. So I don't push on the yoke. Okay, we're climbing at 500 feet per minute. We are at 500 feet. Usually when we are 500 feet we can bank. So I'm gonna left. Let's go straight to this. Awesome scenery, look at that. Fantastic. the water levels and all that. Okay, we are heading east now. You can clearly see the Telekom Towers coming up to the front. So we're going to cruise about 1,000 feet. So we can clearly see stuff. So almost 1,000 feet there. Look at the scenery on the right hand side. Almost accurate. I could fly even to my house. I can see my house in the that's 1,000 feet. We're going to level up. Another power hit. It's about 90. So what we're going to do is we just trim accordingly until we hit about the right speed. So I'm not going to use any autopilot for this one because it's always good to fly by the seat of your pants. Since we are training and all at the moment, I don't really rely on the autopilot stuff. So, okay. Switching my trim, bring the aircraft up a bit. It's a bit wind, there's wind going on, you can see the aircraft is a bit shaking. So we're going to stay anything between 1,000 to 1,500 feet. Well, according to the actual ATC, you have to climb to about 1,005. You can stay between 1,000 to 1,005, but this one we're going to go through the building, so we want to see our scenery a bit. Okay, so we are to this one. Cruising at 90 knots, Cessna. Okay. Our RPM is about 2100. Yeah, should take you straight and level. So I'm just not holding my stick anymore, I'm just making sure the heading is done correctly. So that's Telekom Towers coming up front. And you probably see a bit of the TRX building, was it TRX building? Not really ready at this time, I suppose. Probably this map is a bit older. So you can see on the left hand side we will see like Kota Damansara. Yeah. The hill here is actually, this is actually Taman Tun Nautic Smile. On the left hand side there. Yeah. Just under the wing. There's Taman Tun Nautic Smile. And then we have Bukit Damansara coming up after the hills. Left hand side we will see shortly the Telekom Towers. Yeah. Modeled nicely, it's a 3D model. Unfortunately, the KL Tower is missing. Okay, let's have a look. You can see the car and the highways at the bottom, really busy street today. KL, or the Telekom Towers are coming up on the right. We're actually flying on top of the federal highway at the moment. That's slightly out of the federal highway. That's another EM. Awesome scenery. Flying over brick fields now, I think, and we're heading down to Kipita. Yeah, that's the Twin Tower over there. That's the Menara TRX. I'm gonna go this way and then come back and probably go in between the stuff there. Some scenery. You can actually find your own house if you look around for it. Outside and see what's happening. Valley Mega Mall is somewhere down here. Yeah, that's the federal highway. It's going towards KL. I suspect there was one big Valley Mega Mall there. And the Subang Airport over there. Yeah. Subang Airport, Sungai Besi. Another TRX, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have which stadium is Twin Towers, but the main tower is missing. Maybe that's the one, but we didn't really have it before. That's the TRX Tower. Yeah, that's the one. It's in construction. Go into the aircraft and look at the towers. There you go. That could be the KL Tower, but it wasn't done properly. I suspect because it's sitting on the hill. Twin Towers are there. A bit more forward, we'll try and find Bukit Batu Caves. Yeah. Flight level, we are at 1,000 feet. We're going towards the, I think that's Taman UK Heights and everything. Ulukla is going to be that way. Let's take a left turn here. Head towards Batu Caves. Lake here somewhere. That's the one, I think. Highway that goes to Star Park and all that. Yes, Batu Cave is somewhere around there. Oh, somewhere there. Yep. Probably right in front of us. west. Look at the shadows and scenery. So the runway is going to be runway 15 that we're going to land at. So we are heading now towards the runway, which is supposed to be bearing on 24 degrees 40. According to the map, this is supposed to be where the button keeps is. That is what's supposed to be. So we have to take the circle with the bottom. The Taman Wahyu. Join in the left traffic pattern, then so we're coming up on Desa Park City somewhere here. Here's Desa Park City area. Subang Airport again has a circuit altitude of 1,000 feet, so we descend to 1,000 feet before we land. The map. The airport is over there. Descend now back to 1,000 feet. Bring our speed back to about 80 knots approach. In the indicated airspeed gauge, you can see there'll be a white arc. The white arc means that we can start putting our flaps down. Straight to the airport. stay with this altitude and speed for now. Circuit altitude at the moment, 1,000 feet. We're going to turn downwind once we see the airport, once the airport's visual. That's right. In Subang currently we have services like Air Asia, not Air Asia, it's the Malindo Air, and we have Firefly, which is giving services to the rest of the state of Malaysia. And then we have the KLIA airport just south of this area here. That's where all the international hubs are. So as a student pilot or a single engine aircraft, we are not allowed to go anywhere near KLIA because those are commercial airlines. Let's have a look where we are. We should turn to the right. So join the circuit. Yep, the runway is there, the airport is there. I'm going to do a right here. We head towards 33 in this case. Parallel to the runway. Speed of circuit altitude, just climb a bit more. Airspeed is decreasing, a bit more to the right. You can see the runway on the left window there. So as a student pilot, this is what we have to practice. The circuit patterns, make sure we are spot on. Okay, we are flying over the runway now, runway 33 or runway 15. There we go. I'm going to drop one notch of flaps now. There. The power. Base shortly. Heading of 240 now. So runway is on the left of us. I'm going to drop another notch of flaps. Descending at about 500 feet per minute. runway in sight. We're gonna exit this runway from next turn out. And we'll head back to the GA, the apron area, GA parking area. There you go. We'll clean up our flaps. Should have I think I can stop here and actually switch off our lights because I'm holding my joystick on my right hand side. I'm not able to reach my, just hold it for a second here, and I'll just switch off my lights, which is my landing lights off. Let's put it on power and let's go to GA and park the aircraft. That's the city tour that I just would like to showcase, because I think the scenery was awesome, and I'm going to be doing more of these videos. I'm going to probably be covering all the airports in Malaysia that exist, perhaps because I've also received some requests from some people regarding some airports that they want me to visit. So hopefully the next one is going to be Penang. Everybody wants to know whether the Penang bridge exists. So we'll probably do a flight in Penang to another airport, maybe Butterworth Airport or something. And I'm going to go off to the East Coast, where we go to Kuching, Bario, Sandakan, Tawau. Yep. And not getting, of course, we have a lot of other airports in Malaysia. Langkawi, Tioman is also another airport to be part of, or to be flying to. And we're going to change the aircraft as we go along. I'm just going to move it to here, and let's find a parking. So if you like the videos, maybe you can leave a comment, or maybe suggest an airport that we should fly to, maybe somewhere in your place, and I'll try my best to come up with some videos. I'll probably just park the aircraft here. Looks like a good place to park. Just beside the jet over there. Okay, let's do it here. It's an awesome simulation. I really love it, you know, compared to FSX. This one has more sceneries, beautiful textures and everything. So I love flying this sim, the aircraft. So let's just put it here. Okay. Let's put our parking brakes on. Alright. Let's switch off all the lights. Don't need all the lights anymore. Oops, doesn't turn light. Kilo mixture. Switch off. Parking brakes on. Brakes off. There you go. And if we have to leave the aircraft for quite a while, we have to shut off the wheel. Okay, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the flight, and join me more for other flights. I'll probably be adding a joystick or a controller to my PC in a bit, so we can do a nice smooth around, right, to look at the airport. And there we go. Right, so I hope you enjoyed the flight. If you leave comments and subscribe to my page, that will encourage me to make more videos. Okay, somehow something my lights is on, so let me make sure that my lights are off, otherwise it will drain the battery. So battery has to go off. Yep,
That's supposed to be off.
All right, guys. See you soon. Take care. Bye bye.